How to survive as a short man in our extremely superficial society. But this video is not going to be for short men only. This is a message for all the men out there who feel disadvantaged in some way precisely because of how superficial our society is. I'm going to read to you a message that I received a couple of days ago that moved me deeply and prompted me to make this video. This young brother said, "Your recent post has a great message regarding the new looks maxing wave. I just wanted to ask how to survive this as a teenage boy myself. Everything is so superficial now. My height is short, for which mostly boys call me out, as it is a trend to make fun of people of short height. It's been affecting my mental health a lot and even making me think women hate short people even more now, as I have seen many posts online about it. Can you please make a post on how to tackle this mentally? Thank you so much for always helping people." Thank you, brother, for the courage and vulnerability. Now we are going to address this in a constructive way because there are plenty of good news about this. The fact is that most men are overlooking some crucial aspects of this situation, and that's precisely what's making them discouraged. So I'm not going to give you false encouragement, but a genuine and truthful picture of the situation, which will be encouraging. Now, to give some context on the looks maxing post that he referenced in the message, because that's something I posted on Instagram and I didn't make a YouTube video about looks maxing yet. So just to give some brief context regarding my stance on looks maxing. Looks maxing absolutely isn't just advice on how to look better. It is a comprehensive worldview, attitude towards life, and we could even say life philosophy. Because men's advice on developing their bodies, improving their style, doing hair care, skin care, overall improving their looks, that advice has existed online for decades, way before there was such thing as looks maxing. Looks maxing is a branch of black pill. Black pill is one of the most poisonous, pessimistic, and defeatist online men's movements. And I'm not making this up. The most prominent figures of looks maxing state themselves that looks maxing is a branch of or a product of the black pill. So my stance is, don't mix up trying to look better with listening to the worldview of looks maxers, because people who are fully into looks maxing, when you listen to how they relate to other humans and how they relate to the world, how they relate to life itself, you will see it is a pessimistic, defeatist, nihilistic, and deterministic view of life. So if you want to be a victim of life, if you want to be defeated by life, then go into looks maxing. If you want to live a full, meaningful, exciting life, if you want to have meaningful relationships, then of course invest effort into looking better, but that can be done apart from the looks maxing community, and advice on looking better has always existed even before there was such thing as looks maxing. So this is why he was referencing that my post was helpful, because I was trying to point to the fact that it is an extremely, extremely dangerous and harmful philosophy for young men. Now, to get into his specific question on how to survive being a short man in our superficial society. First thing is to talk about preferences. We have to acknowledge that different people have different preferences. Different people like different things. We cannot move forward until we acknowledge that and consider it for a moment. As a man, if you're a man watching this, you cannot tell me that every other man that you know considers his ideal type to be the typical cover model. You cannot tell me that every single man you know thinks that Sydney Sweeney is the perfectly looking woman. You cannot tell me that. I know, just like I'm sure you know, men who absolutely love women who are considered plus size. Then I know, and I'm sure you know, some men who absolutely love women who are skinny, or maybe even extremely skinny. Then you have men who are madly in love with that body type of a woman who is training a lot and is even a bit muscular. So definitely above average, not just a fit girl, but a muscular girl. Then you have men who find it a bit intimidating. Then you have men who absolutely love tall women, while some other men don't prefer tall women and absolutely would always, or in 99% of cases, choose, if given a chance to choose, they would choose a shorter woman rather than a taller one. So it's not just women that have preferences, men have preferences as well. And if you're now thinking, okay, but this doesn't mean anything because women are really judgmental with their preferences or they're really harsh and women are those who choose, don't worry, we will get to this. But first we have to acknowledge that there is such a thing as a preference, because only then you can give me a valid argument, and that would be, okay, but if I'm short, it's not just a preference, it's a major disadvantage, because for the vast majority of women, they have a preference to be with what is considered a tall guy. Okay, I would say fair enough. Let's say that objectively it is a popular preference for women to like taller guys. Fair enough. Here is the trick. You're confusing preference for a deal breaker. Preference is not always a non-negotiable standard. It absolutely isn't always that. There is a clear difference. Because, just as we said, some men love what is considered plus-size women. But that same man could meet a woman who looks completely differently and still fall in love with her, like her, or initially like her, then try to be with her and eventually fall in love with her. There's someone out there who loves blonde women. That same man can absolutely fall in love with a dark-skinned, dark-haired woman. It is the same for women. Women are even more flexible with their physical preferences. That's a fact. That's a historical human fact, that women are more flexible with their physical preferences. But I'm still going to give you room for arguing, and you say that's not been the case. What I'm noticing is women for whom short versus tall guy, or their preference for a tall guy rather than a short guy, isn't a preference, it is an absolute deal breaker. Then I'm going to say this, okay, this is not the case for all women. You've been encountering most women in your environment who have that as a deal breaker, okay? Now we move on to the next step. If that's a deal breaker, then we still have another filter. Is that a respectful deal breaker? Where then you say, okay, I just need to put myself in a different environment. I need to give myself more chances to meet women for whom that is not a deal breaker, okay? Or are you encountering women where it's not a respectful deal breaker, but a disrespectful standard? There's a difference between the two. Because I could meet a woman who looks at me and says, you know what, I just only like blonde guys with blue or green eyes, and you're not my type, and it is non-negotiable. I just don't like you physically, you're not my type. If that is expressed in a respectful manner, that's just, one point of feedback, and I know, okay, if I'm in an environment where 99% of women have the same comment, well, I should do my best to give myself a chance to spend time in a different environment or in different environments. Okay, but it is another experience if I meet a woman and she tells me, well, it's not only a non-negotiable, it's not only a deal breaker, I actively dislike you. You seem like a person, whatever, of this culture or that religion because of how you look, and I actively dislike you. You're repulsive. I think you're disgusting. Ooh, that would hurt. That would hurt. I'm going to be honest. Initially, it would hurt not because of me attaching my self-worth to someone else's comment. It would hurt because of interacting with how vicious humans can be. But it can hurt for 5 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. It doesn't have to define who you are. Because then the next step is the most important. You think to yourself, would I be with this person or with this type of person even if I could? So if you are facing disrespect, if you are facing people who are actively ignoring or dismissing your other qualities because of your height, then you ask yourself this: okay, if I was a tall guy and if I had a chance to be with one of these women and I go on a date and I see her and hear her commenting disrespectfully on another man because of his short height, would I want to be with that woman? Hopefully not. Hopefully you don't want to be with her regardless of the fact that you can be with her, because you see that that person is disrespectful and judgmental towards others, completely unfairly. So why would you want to be with that person? Then it's not a question, am I worthy of this person? Can I attract this person? It's a matter of, this person is not worthy of me. This person who judges others based on a single trait, this person doesn't deserve to be a part of my life. Then this doesn't have to do anything with your self-worth. And let's go back to preferences. You are a human being with thousands of layers to you. And you want to tell me that your attractiveness and your worth as a human and how interesting you are as a human, you want to tell me that all of that can be summarized in one trait. You think that all of that can be judged by one trait, and that's your height. Are you joking with me? I know that some people out there told you that's the case. I know that disrespectful people that you're interacting with in high school or university or at work or in the gym, sometimes there are disrespectful people who are trying to deceive you, who are trying to very maliciously deceive you and tell you that all of your worth as a human hinges on one trait. Or you have been watching Lux Maxers who are telling you that, the angle of your cheekbone and your height and, your eye to no ratio is basically defining your worth as a human. Those people are either actively trying to sabotage you or they are sabotaging themselves and trying to pull others down with them. Okay? You are a human, you're a character. Now imagine you reading a story and the writer says, here is this character, he's one of the main characters, and the only thing that we are going to discuss about him is that he has a big nose. Nothing else, nothing else. And you're following that character for pages and chapters, and the only thing you know about that character is that he has a big nose. No one would read that book because that's not a character. That's a trait. What is a character? You're reading and finding out more and more and more about this character. How he or she relates to other humans, how he or she relates to life, how he or she faces challenges, what do they look like, but not only what their features are, how they carry themselves, what is their style. Thousands of layers, not just books, TV series, animated shows, movies, whatever. Every character has thousands of layers. You can never determine the quality of that character based on one trait. And if there is one trait that usually defines the character, it is an internal trait. So now you want to tell me that you are either going to give your attention to people who are so superficial and one-dimensional that they care about one trait out of thousands, either that, and or you are going to be the person who focuses on one trait. So you are disrespecting yourself as a character, you're disrespecting your potential to develop as a character, and you're giving attention to people who are so superficial and so one-dimensional that they cannot perceive others as characters. That's a terrible story. No one wants to read that book. And I want you to look at your life as a book, as a story, as a journey, as a TV show, as a movie, whatever gets you into that creative mode. It's for a reason that we say for someone, what a character. What a character. Is Aragorn from Lord of the Rings the most handsome man? No. Is he handsome? Yeah, I would say objectively handsome. Is he the most handsome man? No. Let's say that he really existed in real life. He would be considered more attractive than the most gorgeous male supermodel out there. Okay? So it's the character, quality of the character as a complete person. You think of another, you don't have to think of Aragorn, think of another that inspires you. Think of someone maybe more eccentric or even more withdrawn than Aragorn, doesn't matter. There are so many different shades of interesting, honorable, attractive characters. And for not single one of them is there a single trait that determines their whole appeal. So now back to you and those people that you are spending time with or relating to, or people that you will potentially be spending time with and relating to. The question is, do you want to be with someone who is so superficial, one-dimensional, and judgmental that they would dismiss all the other qualities because of a single one? If the answer is no, then you can look at your short height or whatever shortcoming you have like this. Okay, partially it is a disadvantage because it reduces the amount of people who will consider me their type. Okay, that's fair enough. But another side of this, that my short height or whatever disadvantage I think I have, it is also a filter, a useful filter, because whenever I meet a person that obviously is disrespecting me or is dismissing me because of this one trait, they have just done me a favor. They've done me a favor because they have excluded themselves from people that I would want to connect with. They have excluded themselves from the potential of being a part of my life. They have saved me time from trying to connect with them because I don't want to connect with people, not only those people who disrespect me or dismiss me. I don't want to connect with people that are so superficial that they would disrespect or judge anyone based on a single trait. So while we do live in a superficial society, I want to tell you that it is not as bad as it's presented online. The online world thrives on rage, thrives on things that get us triggered. The online world doesn't thrive on positive emotion. That's important to know. The big tech wants to make you insecure. So don't think it's just the looks maxing streamers or certain type of women that are extremely judgmental. It's the big tech. It's the big tech, it's the Zuckerbergs of the world, the Bezoses of the world, who want you to be insecure and to feel that you're not enough so that you could spend time on their platforms or spend money on their platforms to try to quote unquote fix yourself. When the fixing is actually a non-existent journey because there is nothing to be fixed, it's a journey of growth. It's a journey of character development. So, I'm fully acknowledging your struggles because there is partially a disadvantage that you're dealing with. I'm fully acknowledging that it can be painful to exist in a society that seems to be always judging people based on superficial standards. However, there are plenty of people out there, and I'm sure some of them will be in the comments here, plenty of women out there, but people in general who are actively resisting these superficial standards, who are actively trying to prove that on both sides, men and women, even though we shouldn't consider each other as opposite sides, but on both sides, there are people who want to continuously prove that we don't have to follow these standards, that we can relate to each other as complex human beings, that all of us can be attracted to different things based on our life experiences and how we meet different people, that our preferences change as we go through life, that so many people are ready for a compromise on their physical preferences when they meet someone who touches them deeply internally and who seems to be a deeply interesting individual, an individual with integrity, a caring individual, an individual who loves life. So there are countless of qualities that you can demonstrate and, of course, develop in yourself that will overpower you being short or having a big nose or a crooked nose or big ears or not the best teeth. So many qualities that overpower that by incomparable metrics. Okay? So there is no 5 steps, 10 steps, 15 steps. There is attitude to take towards yourself and towards other humans. And that's an attitude of being a complex character who is working on further developing himself. If you're a man, I would say developing yourself into a man of integrity, a competent man, a caring and kind man, but also a strong man, and of course, an interesting man. Develop yourself as an interesting individual. And if you do that, I can guarantee you that this supposed disadvantage will be something that you forget about. I'm hoping brothers out there find this helpful. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this. Please let me know what your experiences have been. If you have some counter arguments, please share them, because we can and should make this into a constructive conversation, and I'm willing to talk more and more about this. But for now, as always, stay strong, love life, never feel sorry for yourself. Extremely important in this case. Light that raging fire in your heart, because that's the ultimate attractiveness hack, and always go beyond. Thank you.